We put in a bid and we were lucky winners. And so we were able to get a fully permanent mill and tailings facility. To be able to get an asset like this that is already fully permitted, fully built and refurbished recently is really a once in a lifetime situation.
LaFleur Minerals Inc. is a client and sponsor of Pinnacle Digest, whose parent company owns shares and warrants of LaFleur Minerals Inc. Please read the full disclosure at the end of this video.
I've arrived in Quebec's Val-d'Or, which in English translates to the Valley of Gold. Val-d'Or is one of the main gold mining hubs in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, which is one of the richest gold-bearing regions on the planet. It's here amid the rolling forests of Quebec that some of the world's most productive gold mines were born. Mines like the legendary Lamaque and Sigma unearthed millions of ounces, securing Val-d'Or's place as a key player in the global gold industry. From the surrounding areas of Val-d'Or and Rouyn-Noranda, two towns a little more than an hour's drive apart, roughly 75 million ounces of gold have been produced since the early 1900s. During the Great Depression, as the world plunged into economic despair, Val-d'Or defied the odds. Gold fever swept the region, sparking a boom as the town's population surged, mining investment poured in, and infrastructure sprang up. Behind me are some of the homes from that era. While others struggled, Val-d'Or thrived, with its mines not only fueling local growth, but substantially contributing to the global gold supply. Today, the gold exploration and mining industry remains strong here. Several of our nation's largest and most profitable gold mines operate in the surrounding Val-d'Or region and the broader Abitibi Greenstone Belt. Mines like Eldorado's Lamaque, just minutes from Val-d'Or's town center, Agnico Eagle's Gold X mine and the Canadian Malartic complex are all nearby. Drive in virtually any direction from town and headframes will appear on the horizon. Zooming out to the broader belt that Val-d'Or lies within is the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, home to famous mining camps like Timmins, Kirkland Lake, and Rouyn-Noranda. The Abitibi Greenstone Belt is truly epic when it comes to gold production. Of all the geological structures in the world, only South Africa's Witwatersrand Basin has produced more gold over the last 100 years. This 450-kilometer long by 150-kilometer wide geological structure has produced roughly 200 million ounces of gold and counting. Since 1900, roughly 120 mines have gone into production in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. According to Visual Capitalist, the total gold content of the belt in 2021, including past production and current reserves and resource estimates, exceeded 300 million ounces, and the region hosted 21 gold deposits, each containing over 3 million ounces of gold. It's now been about a year since gold began its ascent from around $1,820 an ounce in October of 2023 to above $2,700 an ounce today. As in past substantial gold price rallies, the Abitibi and gold hubs like Val-d'Or command attention from financiers, geologists, and speculators alike. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. About 20 kilometers northeast of Val-d'Or, Quebec, a little-known company, LaFleur Minerals, recently completed the acquisition of the permitted Beacon Gold Mill. The previous owner spent about $20 million refurbishing the mill within the last decade, and yet LaFleur acquired it for an aggregate purchase price of $1.1 million, $250,000 in cash and the rest in stock. In addition to the Beacon Mill and property, LaFleur owns the Swanson Gold Project, situated roughly 65 kilometers north of Val-d'Or. Today we'll dive into why the company believes in its exploration potential, as well as how the Beacon Mill ties into the bigger plan. First, I'll be speaking with Paul Ténière, LaFleur's CEO. Mr. Ténière is a seasoned C-suite mining executive with over 25 years of experience in the exploration and mining industry. As a professional geologist, Paul has developed numerous precious and base metal, critical minerals, and metallurgical coal deposits globally, from exploration phase to mine development. Okay, Paul, we've come over to the Beacon Mill. Can you tell us about this asset? When was it last in production? Give us a bit of the history.
Yeah, absolutely. So the mill was originally built between 85 and 87 to process ore from the Beacon mine, which is here on the property. They went out of production a few years after that. In 2016, Monarch Mining purchased the mill to process ore from their coronary mine. They also spent nearly $20 million to refurbish the mill just in the last few years, and that was to process ore from the Beaufort mine. Unfortunately, Monarch went into receivership just a couple years ago, and so the mill went for sale, and that's how we got into the mill ourselves. We have a fully permanent mill, fully permitted tailings storage facility.
So Monarch spent the money to refurbish the mill. What would it take for LaFleur to get it back operational?
So to get it back operational would take about 3 to 6 months, and that's mostly just to make sure that the equipment's running properly, we do the proper inspections, and also to build the team back up again that was originally operating at the mill. We could actually do it fairly quickly because we do have access to those original personnel.
When we talk strategy, what's the business plan going forward for the mill?
Well, obviously, with our acquisition of the Swanson project, which is only about 50 kilometers north of here, what we're trying to do is to develop that into a small open pit operation, very high-grade gold, trucking that ore to this mill. We're also looking at opportunities with other projects in the region, in the Val-d'Or region, and even west. Some of those projects have ore that might be available to bring into this mill, so that'd be more of a custom milling scenario.
And what's the current capacity of this mill?
So the nameplate capacity of the mill is 750 tons per day. When Monarch was running it, they were anywhere between 500 and 750, but we've been told that it could actually go higher than 750. So if everything is running efficiently and as it should, you could go over 750.
Like towards 1,000?
Yeah, close to 1,000.
And are there any plans to go beyond that? Like, could you ramp it up beyond 1,000 tons?
Absolutely. So if we bring in other projects through a custom milling scenario, multiple projects, we're looking at potentially upgrading to a 3,000 ton per day operation. That would require expansion of the mill, adding a CIL circuit, for instance, and also expanding the mill. Monarch had actually done a study on that, and so we'll be looking at that as well.
So we got to talk about the deal with LaFleur acquiring this asset. The previous owner invested about $20 million. You guys picked it up for $250 cash and about $850,000 in stock, $1.1 million. How were you able to pick up this asset for just a fraction of what they spent refurbishing it?
So when Monarch went into bankruptcy, essentially they were trying to sell off all their assets, and this mill was one of those. And so we put in a bid and we were lucky winners. It was at the right place at the right time, to be frank. And so we were able to get a fully permanent mill and tailings facility. And that was basically because of the receivership process.
If you were building this from scratch, from the mill to the tailings ponds, what do you think it would cost in 2024 dollars?
I think the issue too is that the time it would take to actually do something like that, it could take 5 to 10 years. And the cost of that could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And that includes all of the permitting, the studies, and also building of the tailings storage facility and the mill itself. So to be able to get an asset like this that is already fully permitted, fully built, and refurbished recently is really a once in a lifetime situation.
So despite this mill, you're still a junior company. You guys have the Swanson project. Where is the focus going to be for LaFleur over the next 3 to 6 months?
Next 3 to 6 months, we're focused on already starting work on doing mining and economic studies for Swanson. So again, to bring that operation, a small open pit, potentially to start, and feeding ore to this mill so that it can become revenue generating essentially. We're also looking at consolidating with other projects in the region as well. So we know of many companies that were looking at this mill as potential for processing their ore. Well, now that we have it, we're going to be talking to a lot of those companies.
If Swanson starts growing and you want to spend time kind of developing that, is there an opportunity for you to become a service provider to other projects and deposits in the region?
Yeah, I envision there's two possibilities. So there's advancing the Swanson project itself, and it's nearly 150 square kilometers. There's a lot of ground to cover with 25 mineral occurrences and gold occurrences and lots of deposits. There's that component, but there's also the custom milling aspect as well. And we see that probably accelerating much quicker in the sense that of the time it takes to develop a project from sort of drilling resource stage to the next stage, just permitting involved. So we do envision kind of two tiers to the company, and that would be the custom milling scenario as well.
There's always challenges in mining, whether it's an exploration project or a mill like this one. What are two of the biggest challenges you think the company might face bringing it back online?
First challenge is obviously more on the mechanical side and maintenance and making sure that everything's working properly. One of the challenges in the past is making sure you had enough spare parts, for example. So that's one of the things we would want to do right away. The second is building the right team, and the team that knows how to run a mill of this size and also has a great leader that can basically work with the entire team. And we think we can do that. We know the people that can do that, the people in the past, and we're going to build that.
Paul, as we look out 6 to 12 months into the future, what do you hope to achieve with LaFleur Minerals?
Our objective is to get this mill back up and running in quick order. And again, we do have stockpiles here on site that we can use to sort of ramp up this mill. In that way, we're in a position where we can take on other projects, whether it's Swanson or other projects in the region, and we can confidently say that we can process the ore from those projects.
Best of luck. Thanks for meeting with us.
Thanks very much, Alex. Appreciate it.
Next up, we'll speak with Mr. Jean LaFleur, a professional geologist with 45 years of experience in geology and mineral exploration in Canada and internationally in the US, Mexico, Latin America, Ireland, Spain, and Africa. Notably, Jean serves as a senior consultant to Appian Capital, one of the largest mining-focused funds in the world. It has overseen over 60 mine builds and over 200 billion US of mining sector transactions. About Mr. LaFleur, Appian states on its website that, using his professional network, Jean will be primarily sourcing and presenting potential mining transactions for companies headquartered in North America, and in particular, in Quebec, or that have assets in and outside of North America, as well as assisting on the execution of transactions. Jean, thanks for meeting with us. When you look at a project like Swanson, what kind of potential do you see? You know the Abitibi as well as anyone.
In the last campaign that was done a few years ago, we saw quite a bit of visible gold. And not only that, but we also saw alteration that contained gold in it. So the high-grade zones are there, just like they were historically, but also the low-grade halo. And there's an opportunity probably to bulk it at some point. You know, we're advantaged in multiple ways. Price of gold is good. So you're probably able to do maybe a larger 100-meter type wide gold system that you could mine, whether it's open pit or whether it's underground. And there is experience in the camp here with the Goldex deposit at Agnico.
Concerning LaFleur's Beacon Mill, how do you think it could add value to the company in the coming quarters?
The concept of having a mill is great, and something like this that's basically fully permitted, the property itself as a mining concession, but also the tailings facility, right? That's very important no matter where you are in the world. So the advantage of having that mill and the cost of, say, building a mill like this would probably be substantial now.
Can you ballpark us, just give a rough estimate?
It's probably in the $200 to $300 million range, US dollars. But having a mill with a capacity of about 800 tons per day, or maybe 1,000 tons per day, we're probably well advantaged, right? So maybe a startup with maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, minimal costs, and operate the way it is, especially if you have very good operators, and we do in Val-d'Or. And the advantage here is that you could expand, right? You have land here to expand. The tailings pond is new. So that to me is significant. If you wanted to expand it for greater, maybe 2,000, 3,000 tons per day, it can be done here, right on the property itself.
Thanks for meeting with us. Best of luck. Lastly, we are chatting with Louis Martin, a geologist of over 4 decades and LaFleur's exploration manager. He has worked in and around the Abitibi for the vast majority of his career and has worked on several advanced exploration projects, 4 of which went into production. Additionally, he was Vice President of Exploration with Clifton Star Resources, where he led the team that completed a pre-feasibility study defining the 4.5 million ounce Duparquet Gold Project. Louis, thanks for joining us. We've come over to the core shack. Monarch has used this facility in the past. LaFleur plans to use it once it begins drilling. It's not using it currently. Let's talk about the geology at Swanson. You know, you've been involved in a number of projects that have gone all the way through to production. What is necessary for that to happen? What type of rock are you looking for? And does Swanson have it?
Yeah, and I mean, the first thing we do as a geologist, we take a step back. So we're looking for the right environment. I mean, we know the Val-d'Or camp has a lot along the Cadillac-Larder Lake break. Next is the Dester Porcupine. Now what LaFleur's done is they've gone after the next big break to the north in that. And it's only, several kilometers to the north, and that goes right through the Swanson property itself. So what we're looking for is a large major break in these greenstone belts. We're looking for flexures. When these breaks take a little bend, those are great gold traps. We're looking for favorable geology as far as rock types. And again, we're looking for felsic volcanics, mafic volcanics, intrusions, and the alteration to go with it. So there's a whole series of parts.
And in terms of those characteristics, are you seeing some of those on the Swanson project?
Yes, I mean, we've gone through the drilling in the past with Monarch and that. We know we have the large intrusions. We've got the variety of geology. We've got the alterations. We've got the visible gold too. So all the ingredients are there for, a large deposit.
What is LaFleur going to do? You talked about taking a step back, but where's the budget going? Where's the money going?
So we're not going to go in and drill immediately off the bat. What we've done is we actually started more of a large regional. We've started the compilation. We've got 2 of the other deposits to the south that have historical resource, Bartek and Jolin. So we're now compiling that. We're going to bring that up to almost a resource quality material. We're doing project-wide airborne geophysics. So we've got a high-resolution MAG and VLF survey that's currently in progress. We just finished off a property-wide soil geochemistry and prospecting survey. Results are coming in the next couple of weeks for that. We're preparing to do some IP surveying before the end of the year. So, we're taking a step back and getting geochemistry, geophysics, geology all together to review this project. And I think we're going to be ready to start drilling in the Q1 of 2025.
Can you just outline the top 3 targets?
So the very first one would be the Swanson deposit. We've got some excellent drilling results through there. We've got a 43-101 that says it's still open along strike. And there's just great potential geology-wise. My number 2 and my number 3 would be the Jolin deposit and the Bartek. And again, there's a lot of showings around there. There's been historical resource. But again, I'd like to leave the option open to define other ones once we get all this new data in.
As we get set to leave Val-d'Or, LaFleur Minerals stands as a new entrant in this historic landscape, with both the Beacon Mill and Swanson Gold Project rooted in one of Canada's most celebrated gold regions. While the path of exploration may not follow a direct line and comes with risks, LaFleur's presence here speaks to a commitment to understand and perhaps contribute to the region's legacy. With the Beacon Mill having the potential for reactivation and the Swanson Project open to further exploration, LaFleur Minerals has been strategic with its acquisitions in the Valley of Gold. The story of gold in Val-d'Or is one of persistence and curiosity, and as LaFleur navigates its own way forward, it joins a lineage of explorers drawn to this land. LaFleur's efforts offer a respectful nod to the past and a hopeful look toward the future in a region defined by its resilience and rich gold mining history.